If you've ever seen a neighborhood bar fight where every big guy shows up wearing the same fur coat, that's the kind of energy we're stepping into tonight. Out here in South Africa's Sabi Sand, the air is warm, the grass is still glowing from the last light, and somewhere in the distance, a lion's roar rolls across the land like a warning and a challenge all at once. This is a place where life can change fast and where even the strongest rulers can lose everything in a hurry. We're following the rise and fall of the famous Mapogo lions, 6 brothers whose story shook this land to its core. If you love lions, big drama, and the raw truth of survival, you're in the right place. Say hello in the comments and let me know where you're watching from. The smell comes first: hot dust, grass, and that dry, musky scent that seems to hang in the air when the sun has baked the earth all day. Then you hear the sound of hooves shuffling, a little grunt, and the soft crackle of grass parting. Out in the open, under a wide African sky, a warthog steps into view, and suddenly the whole scene feels alert, like everyone around it is waiting for the next move. This pig with a wild face and a stubborn little tail is built for life in tough country, where lions, hyenas, and even hungry dogs are never far away. Warthogs live across much of sub-Saharan Africa, including places like Sabi Sand and the wide river country we've been exploring. They may not get the same attention as the big cats, but they have a grit all their own, and once you get to know them, they are hard not to like. At first glance, a warthog can seem almost funny. That broad head, the tusks curving out of the mouth, the little mane running down the back, and those bony bumps on the face all give it a rough and ready look, like a machine that was patched together for hard use. But there is nothing careless about the design. The body is low and compact, with long legs that look a bit awkward until the animal bursts into a run. Then it makes sense. Those legs can carry it fast across open ground, with the tail standing straight up like a little flag behind it. That tail is more than just a quirk. It helps young warthogs keep track of one another in the grass, especially when they are moving quickly through a herd. The face is the most striking part. The tusks are not just for show. They are tools for defense and for digging, and they give the warthog a fierce, almost stubborn expression. Around the eyes and cheeks are those wart-like bumps, which look rough and armored, even though they are really just thick pads of skin. Beneath all of that is an animal that is tougher than it seems. Warthogs spend much of their day foraging, and they do it with real purpose. They feed mostly on grasses, roots, and bulbs, using their snouts like little plows. If you watch one closely, you'll see it drop to its knees, sometimes to graze, which is one of those sights that makes people smile. But there is work behind every mouthful. In the dry season, food can be harder to find, and then a warthog has to travel farther and keep its eyes open. It often feeds in the cooler parts of the day, when the heat is not so punishing. And when danger comes, it does not stand around trying to be brave in a foolish way. It runs, fast, straight for the nearest burrow, bank, or patch of cover. That quick retreat is often what saves it, especially in a land where lions patrol and every noise can matter. Family life is where warthogs really show another side. They are often seen in small groups, usually with females and their young. Mothers can be very protective, and the little ones stay close, learning when to feed and when to freeze. A warthog's den is a simple thing, often an old burrow made by another animal, but it becomes a safe place for resting, hiding, and raising young. The family moves in and out with the rhythm of the day, and there is a plain, practical order to it all. No drama, no show, just survival, repeated day after day. When one stands watch, the others get a little more time to feed. When danger appears, the whole group can vanish in a flash. That teamwork is part of why warthogs have done so well in places where the big hunters rule the land. They may be prey, but they are not helpless prey. In the bigger picture, warthogs play a useful part in the land they share with elephants, buffalo, lions, and all the rest. By digging for roots and bulbs, they turn the soil. By grazing, they help shape the grass. And by serving as food for predators, they help keep the chain of life moving. In a place like Sabi Sand, where so many animals depend on the same rivers and grasslands, even a warthog matters. It is one more thread in a living country that only works because all the pieces are still there. Just before dark, the ground is cooling, but the air still holds the day's heat. A warthog family hurries toward cover, tails up, bodies low. Behind them, somewhere in the grass, a lion coughs. One sharp warning sound and the whole scene changes. The warthogs freeze, then they scatter. Dust rises, hooves slap the earth. For a moment it feels like the whole savannah is holding its breath. The first thing you notice is the silence, not the kind that feels empty, but the kind that makes every small sound matter. A twig snaps somewhere in the dark. A low grunt rolls through the grass. Then, out of the shadows, a shape appears with that easy rolling walk that seems to own the night. This is the hyena, one of Africa's toughest survivors. And in Sabi Sand, it lives right alongside lions, leopards, wild dogs, and all the drama that comes with them. It may be best known for its laugh, but there is nothing silly about its life. In this land, where every meal can turn into a fight, the hyena has to be clever, bold, and ready for anything. The hyena is a common sight around open plains and riverbanks, especially after sunset, when the real business of the night begins. What it looks like is easy to remember once you see it up close. The spotted hyena has a sloping back, a big head, strong jaws, and a coat covered in dark spots that breaks up its shape in the grass. Its front legs are longer than the back ones, so the body seems to tip forward, almost like it is always leaning into the next move. That look is not a flaw. It is part of what makes this animal so successful. The neck is thick, the shoulders are powerful, the face can look rough or even a little odd at first, but those ears, eyes, and jaws are built for life in a hard place. When a hyena runs, it does not seem graceful in the usual sense. It looks determined. It stays low, steady, and full of purpose. like a heavy truck that somehow moves like a racehorse. The fur itself is coarse, made for dust and heat, and the spotted pattern helps it disappear in the dim light. At a kill site, that shape matters. A hyena can look smaller than a lion at a distance, but once it comes close, you can see the power packed into that frame. This animal spends much of its life moving between risk and reward. It does not just wait around for luck. It covers long distances, searching for food, listening for the calls of other carnivores, and following the signs that something has died or been left behind. That does not mean it only scavenges. A hyena is also a hunter in its own right, and a very good one. It can bring down prey on its own or in groups, using patience, speed, and teamwork. It will eat almost anything it can handle, from fresh meat to bones and scraps that other animals cannot use. Those powerful jaws can crush what would send most predators away hungry. That means the hyena helps clean up the land, keeping carcasses from lying around too long. It also means it is always alert to opportunity. If a lion makes a mistake, a hyena may slip in. If an antelope weakens, a hyena may notice. If the night changes, the hyena changes with it. Family life for hyenas is one of the most interesting things about them. They do not live like loners. They live in clans, and those clans can be complicated, noisy, and full of rules. Females are the leaders, and mothers raise their young with care inside a den, where cubs stay safe while the adults move out to hunt and patrol. Cubs drink milk for a long time and grow up watching the older animals, learning who to challenge and when to stay back. Hyenas talk a great deal with each other, using whoops, grunts, laughs, and other calls to stay connected. Some sounds carry far across the dark. Others keep order within the group. A young hyena learns quickly that life is about rank, timing, and nerve. The clan can be a family, a team, and a fighting force all at once. Around strong lion coalitions like the Mapogos, that life becomes even harder. Hyenas have to read the mood of the night before they rush in. Too bold, and they can get hurt. Too timid, and they lose a meal. That is why they are such important players in this story. They are not just background animals. They are part of the pressure that shapes everything else. They test the lions, trail the kills, and wait for chances. In a place like Sabi Sand, the hyena is a reminder that survival often belongs to the animals that can adapt the fastest. It is not flashy, it is not gentle, but it is built for endurance, and that matters just as much as strength. As the night deepens, the world belongs to these shadowy survivors. They move through it with patience, grit, and a confidence that comes from hard experience. And once you have heard that laugh echo across the dark, it is not easy to forget. The first thing you notice is the smell. Warm water, green reeds, and damp earth rising in the heat. Then comes the sound of it all. Soft splashing, a low grunt from somewhere hidden in the grass. Birds calling from every direction. This is the Okavango Delta in northern Botswana, one of Africa's great wet places, where the land spreads out into a maze of channels, pools, and islands. It feels alive even when it is still. In one season, it can be dry and open. In the next, floodwater slips across the plain like a silver sheet. That change draws in an amazing cast of animals. From hippos and crocodiles to elephants, antelope, lions, and busy little water birds. Out here, every patch of shade, every muddy bank, and every shallow channel matters. Because this watery world decides who eats, who rests, and who survives. Think about a creature that can stare down something 10 times its size and still refuse to back away. That kind of stubborn courage does not come in a fancy package. It comes in a small, low-slung body with a bad attitude and a big set of jaws. The honey badger lives by one simple rule. If something wants to eat me, I will make it sorry. Out here in Sabi Sand, that attitude can mean the difference between life and death. And in a land ruled by lions, that is no small thing. Meet the honey badger, one of Africa's toughest little survivors, found across much of sub-Saharan Africa, from open grassland to dry woodland and scrub. It may not look like much at first glance, but it has earned a fearsome reputation that even larger animals respect. Its body is thick and compact, built like a little tank, with loose skin, strong shoulders, and a face that seems permanently annoyed. The fur is mostly dark, with a pale strip running down the back from head to tail, like a badge it wears into every fight. That loose skin is a real trick. It helps the badger twist, turn, and even fight back when something grabs it. And those claws are not for show. They are digging tools, climbing tools, and weapons all in one. Honey badgers spend a lot of their day rooting through the earth, turning over soil, and prying open nests, because they eat almost anything they can catch or steal. Beetles, eggs, lizards, snakes, small mammals, roots, fruit, and yes, honey when they can get it. They are not picky. They cannot afford to be. They are mostly alone, moving with a kind of blunt confidence that says every inch of ground belongs to them until proven otherwise. A mother raises her young by herself, and the little ones stay close for a while before striking out on their own. You do not often hear a honey badger coming. That is part of the problem for the animals around it. It is quick, quiet, and full of surprises. Even venomous snakes can find themselves in serious trouble, because this animal is bold enough to take risks most others would never dream of. In a place where power usually belongs to size, the honey badger survives by attitude, grit, and a body built for damage control. It matters because it helps stir up the soil, control small prey, and clean up scraps that others leave behind. It is not a king of the grasslands, it is something harder to break, and that makes it unforgettable. Then, out on the edge of the riverbank, the night turns tense in a heartbeat. A porcupine rustles in the brush. An impala lifts its head. Two jackals stop and listen, and from the shadows comes that low, stubborn shape, nose to the ground, eyes fixed on whatever meal the dark is hiding. First, the badger tests the air, then it moves. A lion's roar rolls across the plain, deep and heavy, and every smaller creature seems to shrink for a moment. The jackals dart away, the impala bolts, even the badger pauses just long enough to weigh the odds. But not for long, it slips into the grass, circles the danger, and keeps going as if fear were just another sound in the night. That is the honey badger in a nutshell, small, fierce, and never quite willing to give the bush its way. Have you ever watched a dusty road go still just because something huge is moving in from the trees? The birds quiet down, the air seems to hold its breath, then you hear it, a deep rumble under your feet, and the whole scene changes. Meet the African bush elephant, the largest land animal in Africa, and one of the most powerful sights in Savuti, here in Chobe National Park. These giants move through this country with slow, steady confidence, but don't let that calm fool you. They can shape the land around them in a single day. In the dry country of northern Botswana, they come and go with the seasons, always searching for water, shade, and enough food to keep their massive bodies going. If you love seeing elephants, say hello in the comments. These are the kind of animals that make a place feel ancient. An adult African bush elephant is built like a moving hill. Its skin is thick and wrinkled, like old leather left out in the sun, and its ears are huge, almost like two broad fans that help cool the body. The tusks curve forward from the mouth like pale ivory tools, and the trunk is the star of the show. It is part nose, part hand, and part straw, all rolled into one. With that trunk, an elephant can sniff, drink, grab branches, push over bushes, and lift a tiny twig with surprising care. Up close, there is real gentleness in the face, especially around the eyes. But the body tells a different story. These animals are solid, heavy, and made to move through rough country. Even so, they often travel with a sort of quiet grace, placing each foot carefully, almost as if they know exactly how much space they take up. In a place like Savuti, where water can be scarce, elephants spend much of their day feeding. They use their trunks to pull leaves, strip bark, and tear up grass. They can browse on bushes too, and they do not waste time. An elephant needs a lot of food every day, so eating is not a side job, it is the main event. You might see one yank down a branch and shake loose the leaves, or use its tusks to pry into a tree. And when the heat climbs, water becomes everything. Elephants head for pans, rivers, and muddy pools, where they can drink and bathe. Mud is not just for fun. It helps protect their skin from the sun and biting insects. In this dry land, a herd can travel far between good feeding spots, and they remember those routes well. That memory matters. In a tough season, knowing where to find water can mean the difference between comfort and danger. Family is at the heart of elephant life. Mothers, daughters, sisters, and aunts usually stay close together in tight family groups, led by an older female. She is the one with experience. She knows the paths, the waterholes, and the places to avoid. The young ones stay near the middle, where they are safest. Calves are especially endearing. They wobble, stumble, and often have trouble with those long trunks at first. They tuck in beside their mothers and practice everything, from drinking to dust bathing. Elephants are also very talkative in their own way. They use low rumbles, body language, and touch to stay connected over long distances. A flick of an ear, a bump with the shoulder, a touch of the trunk, all of it matters. And when trouble comes, that family circle can close up fast, with adults standing shoulder to shoulder around the young. Elephants matter because they do so much more than simply live here. They open up paths in thick brush, dig for water in dry places, and spread seeds as they move. In that way, they help other animals too. Their size can seem overwhelming, but in a healthy landscape, that strength has a purpose. Still, elephants and people often come into conflict when farms, fences, and shrinking habitat get in the way. Protecting travel corridors and safe wild spaces helps both sides. It also helps keep these long journeys possible for future generations. Now, as the afternoon wears on in Savuti, the scene shifts fast. A few elephants are drinking at the edge of a muddy pan, while guinea fowl dart nervously nearby. Then the wind changes. A lioness appears in the grass, low and careful. The elephants lift their heads. One calf huddles closer to its mother. A nearby herd of buffalo tightens up too, uneasy and watchful. Nobody rushes. Not yet. The elephants step forward, slow and firm, and the lioness thinks better of it. That is the thing about this land. Power does not always roar. Sometimes it just stands its ground, and that is enough. If you were standing beside the water at dusk, you might hear the whole shoreline seem to breathe. A low grunt from the reeds, a splash that sounds heavier than it should. Then a shape rises out of the dark water like a moving boulder, and suddenly you realize the riverbank belongs to the hippo. This giant lives in the Okavango Delta, where channels, pools, and floodplains give it the room it needs. It is one of Africa's most powerful water animals, and it spends much of its time half hidden, with only eyes, ears, and nostrils showing above the surface. Hippos may look slow and sleepy, but there is a lot going on under that calm face. They move with purpose, they guard their space, and when the sun goes down, the real action begins. The hippopotamus is built like a tank, with a barrel body, short legs, and a mouth that can open wider than seems possible. That huge mouth is not for chewing meat. Hippos are plant eaters. They leave the water at night and travel onto land to graze on grass. Often covering long distances in the dark, their skin is thick but sensitive, and they need water to keep cool and safe from the harsh heat. They may look lazy by day, but after sunset, they can move with surprising speed. In water, they can sink and rise with the ease of someone walking through a doorway. On land, they follow old paths to feeding grounds, using the same routes night after night. Most of their day is spent resting, floating, or soaking in the mud and water. That mud acts like sunscreen and helps protect their skin. Hippos usually live in groups, and those groups are not exactly peaceful neighborhoods. The biggest males claim stretches of water and try to keep other males out. Females and calves gather around them, but the whole group is always on alert. A mother hippo stays close to her youngster, and a calf may ride on her back if the water gets deep or if danger is near. They talk to one another with grunts, snorts, and splashes, and some of those sounds travel far through the water. There is a lot of social tension here, but also a strong sense of order. Everyone knows who belongs where. Hippos matter more than many people realize. They help shape the rivers and pools they live in by stirring up mud and moving nutrients around. Their grazing keeps grasslands open near the water's edge, which helps other animals too. But they also have to share these wetlands with people, and that can get tricky when rivers are crowded, dry seasons grow harsher, or land is used in new ways. Protecting wetland spaces helps hippos, and it helps the many birds, fish, and other animals tied to the same water. At the end of the day, this is a creature that reminds us how much life can hide inside still water. It is calm on the surface, but never truly quiet. Now and then, the whole river seems to be holding its breath, waiting for that heavy head to rise again. The first thing you notice is the sound. Not the roar of a lion, not the rush of wind, but that rough laugh rolling across the dark. It rises from the grass like a warning and a joke at the same time. Then a pair of glowing eyes catches the last light, and another and another. Spotted hyenas are already moving before most animals even know the night has started. These tough survivors live across much of Africa, including places like Sabi Sand, where they share the land with lions, leopards, buffalo, and all the other big names that make this country so wild. They may be misunderstood, but they are clever, social, and built for life on the edge. And in a place ruled by power that matters, spotted hyenas are larger than many people expect. An adult can stand about the height of a big dog at the shoulder, but the body is longer, heavier, and built with powerful shoulders. The front end is stronger than the back, which gives them that sloping shape when they walk. It is a bit like a machine made for climbing over rough ground and pulling hard on a carcass. Their coats are tan or grayish, covered in dark spots that fade or change as they age. No two look exactly alike. Their ears are round, their muzzle is broad, and their jaws are famous for strength. This is not a delicate animal. Everything about it says endurance. And then there is the sound. That loud whooping call can carry far through the night, telling family members where to go and warning rivals to stay back. Hyenas spend a lot of their night traveling, smelling, listening, and checking the land for food. They are not picky in the way some hunters are. If they can catch it, steal it, or find it already dead, they will make use of it. That is not laziness. That is smart survival. In a dry season, when water and meat both get hard to find, being flexible is a huge advantage. Hyenas will hunt too, and they can work together very well. A group of them can wear down prey through pressure and persistence. They may not look graceful doing it, but they get the job done. They also spend a lot of time scavenging after lions or other hunters have made the first move. In a land where every meal is earned, nothing goes to waste for long. Family life is where spotted hyenas become especially interesting. They live in clans, and those clans can be large, with a strong social order. Females are the ones in charge, and they usually stay in the clan they were born into. Males leave when they grow up and try to join another group. That means the family bonds among females can last for years, sometimes generations. Cubs are raised in underground dens where they stay safer from danger. A mother will nurse her young, protect them, and teach them the rhythms of clan life. But the cubs are not always gentle with each other. Spotted hyena families can be rough, and young ones learn early how to push, wait, and hold their own. They recognize one another by voice and scent, and they keep track of rank very carefully. That social life helps them survive. It also means every meeting can carry a little tension. A lower-ranked hyena may have to wait its turn at food, while a higher-ranked one moves in first with confidence. That order keeps the clan running, even when food is scarce. Spotted hyenas matter because they help clean up the land. They take advantage of carcasses left behind and help keep the system moving. They also hunt enough on their own to shape the balance of prey in the area. In a place like Sabi Sand, where lions can hold strong numbers and push other hunters around, hyenas still find ways to make a living. They are stubborn. They adapt. They do not give up ground easily. That is part of why they have lasted so long in a harsh landscape. And if you watch them closely, you start to see that their laughter is not a joke at all. It is the sound of a family that knows how to survive. By dusk, the heat softens, and the whole river country seems to wake up all at once. A hyena clan moves through the shadows, ears forward, noses working. Somewhere ahead, a lion pride is feeding. Nearby, a herd of buffalo is bunched tight at the water. The night feels full of decisions. One hyena breaks left, another circles wide, a third hangs back, listening. Then the tension snaps. A lion lifts its head. The hyenas answer with sharp whoops and a burst of movement. There is no wasted motion here. Everyone knows the stakes. Someone gets the meal. Someone else gets chased off. And when the dust settles, the hyenas are still there, trotting into the dark, patient as ever, with the long night still ahead. The silence out here can feel enormous. Then, far across the open land, a shape stands against the light, tall and still as a fence post, while the wind combs through the grass around its legs. A moment later, it moves with a strange mix of grace and power, and the whole scene comes alive. This is the ostrich, one of the most familiar birds on the African plains, living in places like southern Africa, where open ground gives it room to see trouble coming. It is the largest bird on Earth, and it has turned life on the open savannah into a game of speed, sharp eyes, and quick decisions. Long legs, a small head, and feathers that look soft from a distance all help tell its story. And when danger comes, this bird does not wait around to find out what happens next. The ostrich is built for survival in a world where every advantage matters. The first thing you notice up close is the size. An ostrich stands far taller than a person would expect from a bird, with a body that looks almost like it was assembled from a different set of parts. The legs are long and sturdy, like strong poles made for running. Each foot has just 2 toes, which is unusual for a bird and helps it move fast over hard ground. Its neck stretches high above the grass, giving it a wide view of the horizon. That matters on open plains, where a single glimpse of movement can mean the difference between safety and disaster. The feathers are loose and shaggy, not sleek like a duck or a goose. They give the bird a soft, slightly untidy look, almost like a feather duster brought to life. Males and females look different too. The males often wear bold black and white feathers, while the females are usually browner and quieter in color, blending better with the land. But no matter the color, the shape stays the same: tall, alert, and ready to run. Ostriches spend most of their day walking, feeding, and watching. They eat a wide mix of plants, seeds, and whatever else they can find, using their strong beaks to pick at the ground. They may also swallow small stones, which help grind food in the stomach. Out on the plains, that simple routine is backed by constant caution. Ostriches need open space so they can spot lions, hyenas, and other dangers before those hunters get too close. If they sense trouble, they do not hesitate. They can sprint at surprising speed, and those powerful legs can deliver a hard kick that even a large predator has to respect. That kick is no joke. It can be enough to make a lion think twice. Their days are shaped by the rhythm of the land, with feeding, moving, and resting all arranged around safety. When the heat rises, they may stand in shade or travel in loose groups, always keeping an eye out. And when the light softens near evening, they often become more active at dawn and dusk, taking advantage of cooler temperatures and better visibility. Family life is where ostriches become even more interesting. They do not raise their young alone. Instead, they often live in groups, and breeding can involve several females laying eggs in one shared nest. That nest is usually just a shallow scrape in the ground, but it becomes the center of a busy little world. The eggs are huge, thick-shelled, and built for a harsh country. One female may act as the main mother, while others help by laying nearby. Then comes the hard part: guarding the nest and keeping the chicks safe once they hatch. The young are tiny compared with the adults, but they are not helpless for long. They follow close, learn quickly, and stay near the group whenever they can. Adults use low calls, body movement, and posture to keep the family together. It is a practical kind of care, not soft or gentle in the human sense, but steady and watchful. In a land full of hungry eyes, that matters more than anything. Ostriches also play an important part in the wider life of the plains. By eating plants and spreading seeds, they help shape what grows and where. Their eggs and chicks also feed other animals, which means they are part of the same food web that ties together lion, hyena, cheetah, and every other hunter and hunted creature out here. They are not just surviving on the savannah, they are helping hold it together. And because they live in open country, they need space that is not cut up by roads, fences, or heavy human pressure. Protected areas still give them room, and that is a hopeful sign. In the end, the ostrich reminds us that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it stands tall, watches closely, and runs when it must. And when you see one stride across the grass, it feels like the whole plain has learned how to keep going. You'd think a little jackal would stay well out of the way when 6 huge lion brothers are marching through the grass. But sometimes the smallest animals in the bush make the smartest moves. A flash of russet fur, a quick look over one shoulder, then a trot along the edge of danger, close enough to steal a scrap, far enough to keep breathing. That is the life of the jackal, always listening, always watching, always ready to slip away if the big cats turn their heads. In this country of hunters and survivors, the jackal is one of the sharpest minds on 4 legs. Jackals live across much of southern Africa, including places like Sabi Sand, and they often work in pairs or small family groups. One of their best traits is simple. They waste almost nothing. They will take meat, insects, fruit, and even dead animals if they need to. That kind of flexibility can mean the difference between a hungry night and another day alive. The jackal is not built for brute force. It is built for timing. Its coat is usually a mix of tawny brown, black, and white, with a pointed face and alert ears that seem too large for its body. Those ears are not just for show. They help catch the tiniest sounds in the grass. Its body is slim and quick, like a runner who never stops paying attention. The tail is bushy and dark, often tipped in black, and when it moves, it looks almost like a question mark behind it. Jackals spend much of their time moving through open ground, river edges and scrub, where they can nose out a meal and keep one eye on the sky and another on the brush. They are not fussy eaters. They hunt small animals when they can, but they also clean up leftovers from bigger predators. That makes them useful in a hard country, because nothing goes to waste for long. They are also very good at reading the mood of the land. If lions are near, they keep their distance. If a carcass is abandoned and the coast looks clear, they may dart in, grab what they can, and vanish again like smoke. Family matters a great deal to jackals. Mates often stay together for a long time, and both parents help raise the young. A den hidden in grass, sand, or a rocky hollow can become the center of a whole family's world. The pups stay close, play hard, and learn fast. They watch the adults, copy their habits, and practice the art of surviving in a place where every meal might come with danger attached. Jackals also speak a lot. They bark, yip, whine, and howl to stay in touch. In the dark, those voices can carry across the plain like a small chorus, and that is part of their strength. They are not lone drifters by nature. They are team players, even if the team is just a pair. What makes the jackal so important is not size, but service. It helps clean the land by feeding on scraps and carrion. It also keeps tabs on rodents and other small creatures. In a place ruled by lions, hyenas, and leopards, the jackal survives by being quick, clever, and endlessly adaptable. That kind of flexibility is a gift. It lets this little scavenger and hunter live in the shadow of giants and still make a living. And in the middle of all that noise and power, the jackal keeps its own quiet place in the story. Then the evening changes. The light goes gold, then thin and blue. Out near a dry river bend, a jackal freezes first. Its ears rise. A pair of impalas steps into the open, nervous and twitchy. Nearby, a herd of buffalo shifts like a dark wall, and somewhere off in the brush, lion voices begin to roll. The jackal gives one sharp bark and slips back, but not before another shadow darts in from the side. A hyena. The two scavengers circle the edge of the scene, not brave enough to challenge the lions, not foolish enough to stay still. One of them catches the smell of fresh meat and races toward it. Then comes the answer from the darkness. Heavy feet, a low growl. The jackal stops, the hyena stops. Even the impalas seem to hold their breath. For a moment, everybody knows their place. Then, just as quickly, the tension breaks. The jackal turns and trots away at an angle, vanishing into the last light. Alive because it noticed the danger before it was too late. A topi can spot danger from a long way off, but what really gives it away is the way it stands. Tall, still, like a sentry posted on the grasslands. Then, in a flash, that watchful shape breaks into a swift run across the open plain. This is the kind of animal that lives where there is nowhere to hide, and that changes everything. Topi roam the savannas of East and Southern Africa, usually in small groups, and they are built for life in wide country, where lions can appear from almost anywhere. One of their best traits is simple but powerful. They stay alert. That sharp awareness helps them survive in a land where one mistake can end a chase in seconds. Their coats are a rich reddish-brown, but in the right light, they can look almost purple. The legs are long and thin, made for speed. The face has a calm, almost serious look, as if this animal is always thinking one step ahead. From a distance, a topi may seem plain at first, but once you notice the glossy coat, the dark markings, and that proud, upright stance, it is hard to miss. And in places like Sabi Sand, where lions, hyenas, wild dogs, and buffalo all share the same ground, that alertness matters every single day. Topis spend much of their time grazing on grasses, moving steadily as they feed. They are not flashy animals, but they are efficient ones. They choose open places where they can see trouble coming, and they often keep one eye on the horizon while they eat. That is a sensible habit here. When lions are hunting, the grasslands can turn dangerous in a hurry. A topi does not have heavy armor or brute strength. Its defense is speed, good eyesight, and the habit of keeping close to others. Groups help with safety. One animal notices a threat and the others lift their heads too. Then the whole group is ready to move. During the day, topis may feed and rest, then shift positions as the light changes and the heat builds. They are most active at dawn and dusk, when the air is cooler and the land feels a little less exposed. Family life is woven into their daily routine. Males often hold and guard territories, especially in open breeding grounds, and they do it with posture as much as force. A raised head, a stiff stance, a watchful stare, those are part of the language here. Females and young move through these areas carefully, using safety in numbers. Calves stay close, learning quickly that a peaceful-looking field can hide real danger. The topi's role in the larger landscape is easy to overlook, but it matters. By grazing, it helps shape the grasslands and keeps fresh growth coming back. And as prey, it supports the big hunters that depend on these plains. In that way, the topi helps keep the whole system moving. It may not make headlines like the lions do, but without animals like this, the savannah would feel very different, and a lot emptier. At first glance, the African wild dog looks like a painted patchwork of tan, black, white, and yellow. No two seem exactly alike. Their coats are like a wild quilt thrown together by hand. They have big rounded ears that catch every sound, and slim bodies built for running, not wrestling. Their legs are long and lean, and when they move, they do it with a sort of easy bounce. Their tails are white-tipped, almost like little flags waving behind them, and those tails matter because in a moving pack, they help keep everyone together. Their faces are sharp and alert, with dark markings around the eyes that give them a serious, almost sad look. But don't let that fool you. These are animals made for action. What really sets them apart is how they spend their days. African wild dogs do not waste time. They travel far, often covering huge stretches of country in a single day. They hunt by endurance, not by surprise. Once they spot prey, they work as a team, spreading out and pushing forward until the quarry gets worn down. In this part of Africa, that can mean impala, young antelope, or other quick-footed animals. Their success rate is high, much higher than lions, and that says a lot about how sharp they are as hunters. But even then, every chase carries risk. One wrong move, and a lion, hyena, or even a buffalo can turn the whole thing upside down. So the pack stays alert, always scanning the brush, always ready to change direction. Their family life is just as striking. Wild dogs live in close packs, and that bond runs deep. Adults feed pups first. They also feed sick or older pack members. If a dog is injured, the others may bring food back to it. That kind of care is rare and beautiful to watch. And before heading out, researchers in the Kruger and Sabi Sand region discovered something amazing. The pack may actually vote by sneezing. One sneeze can be a sign to go. More sneezes can tip the group into action. It's a simple sound, but it helps the whole pack make a decision together. That teamwork is the heart of their survival. African wild dogs also matter in the bigger life of the reserve. They help keep prey animals moving and healthy, and they fit into the food chain in a way that keeps the whole system active. But they face real pressure from habitat loss, disease, and conflict with people. Their numbers have fallen across Africa, and that makes every pack precious. In places like Sabi Sand, protected land gives them a fighting chance. Here they can still run, hunt, and raise pups in a landscape that has space left for wild things. And in a world full of bigger teeth and louder voices, that may be their greatest strength. When you watch them, you see more than a hunter. You see a family built to last. As the light grows stronger, the pack moves on, one after another, tied together by instinct and loyalty. In a place ruled by danger, that kind of trust is its own kind of power. Have you ever stood at the edge of a place and felt like the ground itself was humming with life? That is Sabi Sand in South Africa. It sits beside Kruger National Park, and with more than 50 kilometers of unfenced border, animals can move back and forth, almost as if the lines on a map were never drawn at all. Here, the Sabi River and the Sand River act like lifelines, especially in the dry months from May to September, when every thirsty creature heads for the water. This reserve is famous for its big cats, its huge herds, and its raw tension. Leopards, lions, buffalo, cheetahs, wild dogs, hyenas, elephants, hippos, crocodiles, and many more all share this land. In Sabi Sand, every dawn can bring a new story, and every dusk can change the day forever. Savuti can feel like the savannah forgot to finish making itself. One minute you see open grass and dust, and the next there is a channel, a marsh, a line of trees and a patch of dry ground all in the same view. It is the kind of place where a thirsty elephant can be standing in mud only to find hard sand a few steps later. Savuti sits inside Chobe National Park in Botswana, and it is home to lions, elephants, hyenas, buffalo, giraffes, zebras, and plenty more. The land changes with the seasons, so life here never settles down for long. When water comes, animals gather. When it pulls back, the struggle begins. And that is what makes Savuti such a powerful stage for the battles that follow. Have you ever watched a grassland hold its breath? One moment it seems quiet, just pale gold grass moving in the wind. Then something slim and streaked with black starts to move through it, so fast your eye can barely keep up. That is the cheetah, the streak of lightning on 4 legs, and here in Sabi Sand, every chase is a matter of seconds. Cheetahs live across parts of southern and eastern Africa, usually in open country where they can see far and run free. What makes them stand out most is that built-for-speed body, all light frame, long legs, and a tail that works like a steering wheel. They are the fastest land animals on Earth, but speed alone does not make life easy. In a land where lions, hyenas, and wild dogs all compete for space and food, the cheetah has to be quick in every sense of the word. Look closely and you'll see why. The coat is covered in black spots, each one a little different, like splashes of ink on honey-colored cloth. Dark tear marks run from the eyes down the face, almost like mascara, and those marks may help cut the glare of the sun. The body is narrow and lean, with a deep chest and a small head that looks almost too light for such long legs. Everything about it says one thing: built to move. And move it does, usually when the morning is still cool or the evening light starts to fade. Cheetahs spend much of their time alone or in small family groups, and they are most often hunting impala, one of the grassland's most common prey animals. They do not charge in like a lion. They stalk, they watch. Then, in a burst, they sprint flat out, using those long tails to balance hard turns as the prey zigzags through the grass. It is a hunt made for open ground, not thick bush. That is why they are so tied to places like this, where there is space to run and enough prey to make the effort worth it. But a cheetah's day is not all chasing. A lot of it is resting, scanning, listening, and staying out of trouble. They lose meals to stronger hunters all the time, so even a successful catch has a rush of danger hanging over it. Family life matters a great deal here. A mother raises her cubs mostly on her own, teaching them where to hide, when to freeze, and how to practice the deadly burst of speed they will need later. Male cheetahs often form small teams, usually brothers, and those partnerships can last a lifetime. They help each other hold territory and watch for danger. It is a quiet kind of strength, built on trust more than force. In a place ruled by bigger and rougher neighbors, that matters. Cheetahs play an important part too. They help keep prey numbers in check. And because they are so specialized for speed, they show just how many different ways a hunter can survive on the same land. Their future, though, is not easy. Across Africa, they face habitat loss and conflict with people, and every open stretch of safe ground matters more than ever. Then, just before sunset, the whole scene changes. A young impala bunches tight near the water. Two cheetahs are crouched in the grass, so low they seem to melt into the earth. Nearby, a hyena wanders past, nose down, not yet seeing them. The air feels heavy. One cheetah flicks its tail once, then it goes. No warning. Just a blur of dust, flying hooves and sharp turns. The impala scatter in all directions. One stumbles, recovers and bolts again. The cheetahs push hard, legs reaching, bodies stretched thin as wire. For a few heartbeats, speed is everything. But the chase does not belong to the hunter alone. The bush is watching. A lion's roar rolls from far off. The hyena has turned, and the cheetahs know that even if the hunt works, they must eat fast or lose the prize. In the end, that is their life here. Fast, careful, and always one step from danger. You might expect the biggest danger at a river to be the lions on the bank. But often, the real danger is already in the water. Just below the surface, where the mud is dark and the sunlight barely reaches, a pair of eyes can float motionless for minutes at a time. Then, with almost no warning, the whole river seems to explode. That is where the Nile crocodile comes in. This ancient hunter lives in the rivers and pools of the Okavango Delta, and it has one of the strongest jaws in Africa. Its body is built for patience, not speed, and that makes it deadly in its own quiet way. Around these waters, Every drink can be a risk. Every ripple matters. The Nile crocodile is one of the creatures that keeps this place feeling wild from the first light of morning to the last hush of evening. The Nile crocodile lives across much of Africa, and here in the Okavango, it rules the water's edge. It is a master of stillness, and that alone gives it power. At first glance, a crocodile can seem almost simple, just a long, low shape resting in the shallows. But look closer, and the design is all business. The skin is thick and rough, like old leather stretched tight over heavy muscle. The back is lined with raised armored plates that catch the light in dull ridges. The tail is long and powerful, made for sudden bursts in water. The head is broad, with eyes and nostrils set high so it can watch and breathe, while almost the whole body stays hidden. When it opens its mouth, the teeth show in a crooked row that looks less like a smile and more like a trap. This animal can grow very large, and that size is part of the story. It is built to hold on once it has grabbed something, whether that is a fish, a bird, or a thirsty antelope leaning too far over the bank. And yet for all that power, the crocodile often seems calm, almost sleepy. That stillness is part of its edge. It doesn't waste energy. It waits. Day after day, the Nile crocodile spends its time close to water, because water is life here. It basks on sandbanks to warm up in the sun, then slides back into the river when it is ready to move. The body is cold-blooded, so the sun is a big part of how it starts the day. It may rest with only its eyes and nostrils showing, barely visible against the muddy edge. Then, when a fish passes, or a bird lands too close, or a mammal comes down to drink, it can strike in a flash. Most of the time, though, it is waiting. That waiting is not laziness, it is strategy. In the dry season, when the heat tightens around the land and more animals crowd the rivers, the crocodile gets more chances. The bank becomes a meeting place for zebras, antelope, buffalo, and hippos. To them, it is just water. To the crocodile, it is a hunting ground. It also feeds on carrion when the chance comes, so nothing edible goes to waste. That makes it an important cleaner in the system, helping recycle what the river gives and takes away. Life at the edge of the Okavango is never private. A crocodile may spend much of the day alone, but its world is full of neighbors, and not all of them are welcome. Other crocodiles can crowd the same stretch of river, especially where food is good. Bigger animals, like hippos, may bully the banks and claim space of their own. A mother crocodile becomes especially alert when eggs are near hatching. She guards the nest, and when the young are ready, she helps move them to the water. For such a hard-looking animal, that part is surprising. There is care there, not tenderness in the human sense, but enough to give the young a better chance. The hatchlings are tiny compared with the adults, and many will not survive. Birds, fish, and larger animals all see them as an easy meal. So from the first day, a young crocodile has to stay low, stay hidden, and learn fast. In a place like the Okavango Delta, the Nile crocodile matters more than people may first realize. It keeps the rivers honest. It reminds every thirsty animal that water is not free from danger. And by taking weak or wounded prey, it helps remove what is already fading. But it also lives in a world shaped by people now too. Changes in water flow, pressure on wetlands, and conflict near villages can all affect crocodiles and the animals around them. Protecting these river systems helps protect the crocodile as well. It is one more reason the delta still feels alive. And when that great mouth disappears beneath the surface again, it leaves behind a simple truth. In this place, even still water has teeth. The hunt is already over by the time you catch sight of the shadow. One moment the grass is still. The next, a spotted shape melts out from under a thicket, dragging a meal twice as awkward as it is heavy. No roar, no fuss, just the soft scrape of claws and the quick flick of an ear toward the riverbank, where danger can appear in an instant. In a place like Sabi Sand, that kind of silence can mean everything. This is the leopard, one of Africa's most careful hunters, and in these parts it lives with more neighbors and more trouble than most big cats ever will. Sabi Sand holds a world record high leopard density, with about 12 individuals for every 100 square kilometers, so every path, every tree, every kill site can turn into a gamble. What you're watching here is not just a cat on the move. It's a master of staying alive. Leopards live across much of Africa and also in parts of Asia. But in Sabi Sand, they have to make a living right under the noses of lions, hyenas, and a long list of hungry competitors. One of the first things you notice about a leopard is the coat. Those dark rosettes are like spots of spilled ink on golden cloth, and no two are exactly alike. That pattern helps break up the cat's outline in the grass, in the shade, even in the branches of a tree. The body is built for quiet power. Muscles ripple under the skin with almost no wasted movement. The head looks strong and solid, with a broad face and steady eyes that seem to miss very little. The tail is long and rope-like, and it helps the cat balance when climbing or carrying food up into the trees. This is not a bulky animal that wins by sheer size. It wins by being hard to notice. Leopards spend a lot of their time moving alone, mostly at dawn, dusk, and through the night. They are patient, and that patience pays off. They will stalk impala, young antelope, birds, and smaller animals when they can. But just as often, they will take a hard-earned meal and haul it out of reach, sometimes into a tree where lions and hyenas have a much harder time stealing it. That habit is one of the leopard's best tricks. In a land ruled by larger mouths and stronger jaws, the leopard knows the smartest move is often to keep dinner off the ground. It will eat what it catches for several days if it can. That means every successful hunt matters. Nothing is wasted. And when the dry season arrives and water and prey gather near the rivers from May to September, the leopard has to be even more careful. More animals mean more chances, but also more eyes, more threats, more ways to lose a hard-won meal. Leopard life is mostly solitary. A female raises her cubs on her own, and that is no easy job. The young are hidden in thick cover, rocky places, or safe trees, while they are still small and vulnerable. She brings them food when she can and keeps them tucked away from danger. As they grow, they start to follow her, learning how to move without being seen, how to listen, when to wait, and when to run. Male leopards and females only come together briefly, usually to mate. After that, the mother is left to do the heavy lifting. Cubs stay with her for many months, and the lessons they learn in that time can mean the difference between life and death later on. In a place like Sabi Sand, that quiet education matters. A leopard that rushes is a leopard that may not last. So what does the leopard do for the land around it? A lot, even if you never see it all at once. It helps keep prey animals moving and alert. It also takes out weak, young, or careless animals, which helps keep the animal community in shape. And because it stores food in trees, it can leave scraps for birds, jackals, and smaller scavengers below. In a reserve with so many predators, the leopard has found a way to fit in without ever giving up its own style. That style is all about caution, skill, and timing. Every step is measured, every climb has a purpose, every meal is earned. And in a place this crowded with teeth and trouble, that is no small thing. Then comes the moment when the leopard freezes. Its ears angle forward, its body flattens. Somewhere ahead, a branch snaps and a shape moves in the grass. A young impala breaks from cover, then another. The leopard is already gone, sliding low through the shadows, while farther off, a hyena laughs and the river keeps running as if nothing happened. For a few tense seconds, the whole bank seems to hold its breath. Then the leap comes. Short, fast, clean. The impala scatters in panic, hooves drumming the dust, and the leopard lands hard in the grass, with dinner still just out of reach. It circles once, checks the wind, and listens. There is no room for pride here, only adjustment. It will try again another night, because that is how survival works in Sabi Sand. Not with drama, with patience. The driest place on Earth still has life clinging to it. That may sound impossible, but in this part of Namibia, the desert does not sit quietly. It groans, whistles, and burns under a hard sun, while the Atlantic keeps throwing cold fog inland like a blanket. Out here, the land shifts from endless sand to bare rock, and then to a coastline so rough and lonely, it earned a name all its own, the Skeleton Coast. This is a place of survival on the edge. You'll find oryx, ostriches, jackals, and desert-adapted elephants pushing through the heat, dust, and salt wind. And somehow, against all odds, they make a living in one of the toughest landscapes on the continent. Think of a creature that can tip the scales at 900 kilograms, built like a moving boulder, with a temper to match. That is the Cape buffalo. You do not want to be on the wrong side of one. In the heat of Sabi Sand, these great animals gather near the rivers, where the grass stays greener and the water keeps everyone coming back. They are found across parts of southern and eastern Africa, but here they are part of the daily tension that shapes life and death. One misstep, one missed warning, and the whole scene can turn in a heartbeat. And for the lions of this story, the Cape buffalo becomes the ultimate test. The Cape buffalo lives in herds and spends much of its time grazing, but it never lowers its guard for long. Its horns, thick and curved, are not just for show. They are built for trouble. Its body is dark and heavy, like a tank with legs, and when a herd turns to face danger, it can feel like watching a wall close in. The face is broad, the eyes set deep, and the old males often carry a battered look, as if they have seen one hard season after another. That rough appearance fits the life they lead. They spend their days moving from patch to patch of grass, often in the early morning and late afternoon when the heat eases a little. In the dry months, they head toward the riverbanks, where food and water are easier to find. But even then, they stay alert. Buffalo do not wander through the day like they have all the time in the world. They feed, rest, chew their cud, and keep an eye on the world around them. If danger shows up, the herd can bunch tight in a hurry. They do not panic easily. That is part of what makes them so hard to bring down. A lone buffalo is powerful enough on its own, but a herd is something else entirely. The adults stand around the young, and if a lion comes too close, they may rush forward, lower those heavy heads, and push back as a group. It is a dangerous business for any hunter. Their family life is built around numbers. Mothers and calves stay close, and the herd moves as one, sometimes large and loose, sometimes tight and defensive. You can almost feel the quiet warning in the way they stand there together. They do not need noise to say, "We are not easy prey." In a place like Sabi Sand, that matters. The buffalo help shape the land by grazing the grass and opening up the plains for other animals. And because they are such a major source of food for lions, they sit right in the middle of the whole predator story. When buffalo herds are strong, everything around them feels the pressure. In this region, where unfenced borders let wildlife move freely, their role becomes even bigger. They are part of the reason the lions here grew so bold, and part of the reason those hunts became so costly. By late afternoon, the light started to soften over the open grass. The heat had backed off a little, but the air still felt dry and tense. A herd of buffalo moved toward the water, hooves thudding through the dust. Calves stayed tucked near the middle. The older animals took the outer edge. Then the lions came in, low and steady, not rushing, just closing the distance one careful step at a time. The buffalo noticed. Heads lifted, tails flicked, the herd tightened. One big male swung around first, then another. Dust rose around their legs. The lions probed for weakness, testing the edge of the herd, looking for a calf or a split in the line. But the buffalo answered with muscle and nerve. They pressed together. They faced down the threat. For a moment, everything hung there. Then the herd surged and the hunters had to think fast. That is the thing about Cape buffalo. They do not just survive by being big. They survive by being ready. And in Sabi Sand, that readiness can mean the difference between life and death. Dust rises first, then the sound comes rolling over the grass, deep roars, sharp grunts, the hurried crash of hooves, and the sudden snap of something breaking in the dark. In that moment, the whole balance of Sabi Sand feels like it is tilting. The Mapogo lions, once the most feared force on this land, are facing the end of their long rule. By June 2010, a new group of 5 prime males has moved into their eastern ground, and the old kings are suddenly under real pressure. Kinky Tail is cut off, and Mr. T is forced to make a choice no lion ever wants to make. For years, these brothers had pushed and fought and ruled. Now the empire they built is slipping away. The Mapogo name, once spoken with fear, is beginning to fall. These are the final hours of a legend that changed Sabi Sand forever. It is a hard thing to watch, but it is part of the truth out here. No rain lasts forever, and even the strongest lions must one day give way to the next wave. For a moment, the dust settles. The roar fades into the dark, and all that is left is the soft night air over Sabi Sand. It is quiet now, but it is not empty. This place has held lion pride and leopard shadow, buffalo thunder, and the careful steps of wild dogs moving at dawn. It has shown us how much can change when water runs low, when borders stay open, and when one family of lions pushes harder than any before it. The Mapogo story is a hard one, but it is also part of a much bigger picture. Out here, every life is tied to the next. Every hunt, every warning call, every den hidden in the grass matters, and people too have a role. Protected reserves, careful research, and safe wildlife corridors help keep these stories going. If you enjoyed this journey through Sabi Sand and the rise and fall of the Mapogo lions, please like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a comment with your favorite moment. Until next time, may you always find a little wild wonder waiting just beyond the horizon.